times. You guys, we see the the brilliance on the attacking side, but you guys really make life difficult for teams that come into this building.
Yeah, I think the back line and Bill have been great so far. Throughout the last couple months, we've built a good chemistry going, and people stepped in and done their job, and we got a good understanding of each other right now. So.
What's it mean? It's been a long road to get to this point, but what was that initial feeling when you blew the final whistle?
Oh, it was great. What a weird season it's been. It's almost a tale of two seasons, and being away the whole time and then coming home and making this run, it's been unbelievable. And we're not finished. We know we're not finished. We know we've got a good team, and we've shown in the last couple months that we can compete with anyone in MLS. So we're ready to go and make a push in the playoffs.
All right, for you, from your perspective on the back line, how do you feel like you guys have been, you're gritty at times. Yeah. You guys, we see the brilliance on the attacking side, but you guys really make life difficult for teams that come into this building.
Yeah, I think the back line and Bill have been great so far. Throughout the last couple months, we've built a good chemistry going, and people stepped in and done their job, and we got a good understanding of each other right now. So it's not just us, but the whole team's putting in a good shift defensively, and it starts at the top with Wayne all the way back to Bill. So I'm just proud of the guys.
All right, lastly, I know obviously you guys supposed to believe that you would get to this point this season. Just looking at everything you guys went through, what was that moment where you guys really felt like, hey, this is really attainable? Like over this last.
Yeah, I don't know if there was actually a moment, but we just know that we have a good team. That we've seen it in the games and in practice every day. So we know how good we are, and it was just a matter of us stringing a bunch of wins together, and we've done that. And we're really excited about the future.
When the stadium opened, so thankfully we've accomplished that. It took a lot of hard work, it took a lot of grit, it took the whole team from number 1 to number 30. So we accomplished something very, very good to go from last to a playoff position, and there's still a little bit more. We can go get home field advantage, and I think that's kind of the talk of the locker room right now is how do we go get home field advantage.
What'd you think of Lucho?
Lucho was outstanding. In the second half of the season, you've seen him really come alive. It's not easy for him. He gets kicked a lot. He gets zoned in on a lot, but he keeps fighting. Even when he's not doing too well, he keeps fighting, he keeps pushing, and he has those moments where he just produces brilliance. And today was one of them. It was a great run to feed Rooney, and then the finish was outstanding. So, hats off to Lucho, hats off to all of our attack. It's been fantastic.
What were your thoughts when you first? You said like this almost felt like a new season. What were your thoughts when you first arrived?
I kind of took a look at the team. I had a few players to get used to. A couple new signings, Joseph Mora. I didn't have that many reps with Fred. We had O'Neal at right back, so it was a new system, it was a new style. But I saw so much potential in the team. It's never easy playing every single game on the road, so I know what they were going through, but the potential in this team from number 1 to number 30 is good. So hopefully we can continue to build. I think the feeling right now is that we have a new season on our hands.
Did you think it was possible when it started out, the way we went from last to playoff spot? Did you think it was possible when you guys started that run?
Yeah, definitely. Home field advantage is huge in this league. And if you take advantage of your home matches, you can definitely climb up the table, and we did that. We did that fairly well. We had a little bit of a hiccup in the beginning with the loss to Philadelphia. It was a little bit of an eye opener, but we quickly turned things around, put our best foot forward, and we're in a good position right now.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Focus TV. Got Octavia Wyatt here this evening. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. and Cardell Dudley will be joining us a little bit later. Over the phone, we got our guy Damo Rowe here as well, our social media guy. He's really, really happy today. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. All right, so as we can see from Steve Birnbaum and Billy Mead, man, we told you guys about this potentially happening way back in July. So it's officially complete. They made the postseason. Not only did they make the postseason, but 2 weeks ago, it was a possibility that words that nobody expected to be uttered, they could possibly host a playoff game. They did, in fact, do that. So the Black and Red on this Thursday evening at 8 p.m. will be hosting, I guess the inaugural playoff game at Audi Field. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of good firsts for them. All right, so the Black and Red finished in 4th place in the Eastern Conference. They closed the season with a 10-game unbeaten streak. That's the longest in franchise history since 2007. So that's a good amount of years have gone by since then. Especially considering how they started the year, it was literally one hell of a finish. They were in the bottom of the standings in July. Again, it was a really, really crazy run. And Columbus Crew comes in Thursday night. If DC United does win and NYCFC wins, DC United plays the Red Bulls. The next round, it's 2 legs. So the first leg is going to be here in DC. The second one will be in New York. If DC United wins and Philadelphia upsets NYCFC, then DC United travels to Atlanta for the second leg. But again, a win on Thursday means they will be playing a few days later on Sunday. The Columbus Crew, they finished 5th in the East with an identical record to DC United at 14-11-9. A big stat for DC United. They're 13-2-2 at home. So again, talking about that, about Audi being a fortress, those words really do mean something because that's exactly what it's been for them. It's been their safe haven this entire second half of the season. We already, for you guys who have been paying attention all year, we know what they went through to start the year. Entirely on the road, had 2 home away from home games mixed in, but it was a struggle. And now they get to host a knockout game. So that's huge. All right, so a little bit about Columbus. Giazzi Zardes leads them with 19 goals. But they're better known for what they do defensively. Structurally, tactically, they're sound. They're not easily broken down. They play a lot of dangerous balls from an attacking standpoint. But again, outside of Zardes, it's not like a lot of people are contributing on that end. It's not like they don't have the ability to. They just haven't been. As far as all the teams in the Eastern Conference, they have scored the least amount of goals for all the teams in the playoffs with 43. For DC United, this is going to be interesting because, again, talking about Columbus, they're tough to break down. And the way that they play, they don't really allow teams to counter on them. And DC United thrives in their ability to counterattack, and they have the added luxury of being able to breaking down opposing teams just with sound passing. We've seen in the past where Rooney will drop back out of his forward spot, come back in the midfield, and just facilitate a little bit more. When he does that, Acosta typically goes forward. And then that's when we see some of those brilliant moments from Lucho. And, Rooney can play off of that. So, and Lucho's adopted that same mindset at times during the year where he'll come a little bit further back, take control of the ball just to get him on the ball and stretch out the defense and make room for others. So keep an eye on that. And the biggest thing for DC United, for everything that they've been through, they've faced a lot of adversity, and that's what they're going to count on Thursday. Talking to Paul Areola 2 weeks ago, this was after they beat NYCFC to clinch the playoff berth. One of the things that he said was that they're confident in the fact that whether they were going to play at home or on the road, that DC United's they're not going to change what they do. They've got here by the way that they've played, consistently doing what they've done. And he acknowledged that some teams in the playoffs, not that they try to get too cute, but they overthink themselves. They try to switch things up tactically, and sometimes it doesn't always help. Another great thing for them is the back line has been playing well. Billy Mead's back there. It's just been a good close to the regular season for DC United, and they have every chance come Thursday night to advance, possibly host 2 home playoff games this week. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. We got a lot left this evening. We got the Wizard segment coming up next. You definitely don't want to miss that. We got the NFC East segment. And for once, outside of just Philly fans, everyone should actually be excited. Outside of Giants fans, everyone in your division, there was something notable to discuss.
Yes.
You, however, the draft is coming? Is that all we really have there? The draft is coming?
That's all they should be focused on. My coworker at work, he's a huge Giants fan, and I told him at this point he might as well just start watching college football just to kind of see what they're going to be looking at next year.
And see what they might miss on. We'll see what happens. It should be interesting. Again, you tune into the Focus TV. We're going to catch you guys on the other side of the break with Wizards basketball. Hey, Cardell, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, bet. I'm going to mute the mic and we about to start. Welcome back to the Focus TV. Joining us over the phone is one Cardell Dudley. What's going on, Cardell?
What's going on? Damn, Octavia's like that, telling people to get ready for the draft.
I mean,
Cold-blooded out here.
what are we, 100? We speak truths here.
Yeah, you're right. Right, no doubt.
They need to just start getting ready.
Just tell them early acceptance is the key.
Yeah.
So they should start
Early admission.
They should start watching football on Saturdays and not Sundays.
Basically, they might as well just stop the heartache on Sundays. Cause it's sad. My coworker, he be so sad. I just be looking at him like, I was like, y'all have Saquon.
So you're not right. You're just out here just picking at random things that's not going to help anybody feel better. Right, Cardell? So there's a lot to talk about with the Wizards. The road trip, to say the least, it's not going well. Not at all. Nor has the start of the season been very good to them. The same issues from the first two games, which we were kind of adamant about, that if they continue, things would kind of trend toward this direction. Defense and rebounding seems to kind of still be optional at this point for them from a team standpoint, both of which require effort. So this is a choice at this point. It's not something Scott Brooks could fix. The front office, this is something for all the people on the court. They have to do this. They finish up, they conclude this 5-game road trip tonight in Memphis before coming back home to host the Thunder on Friday and the Knicks on Sunday. That being said, Cardell, I know you said you had like 30 bullet points. I'm being a little extra. But go ahead, man.
They need 30 bullet points.
Yeah, it's been rough, but they off to a strong start right now against Memphis. They up 7-3, and I like how they're swarming on defense. Jeff Green, he got the start because Markieff is out with concussion symptoms or whatnot. I didn't catch the update on Oubre before the show began, so I don't know if he's playing, but right now they're playing well against Memphis or whatnot. But yeah, as for that 1-5 start, it's been ugly, as you stated, and I don't think people quite know how ugly it was. I mean, it has been. The Wizards are allowing 20 points a game off second chance points. At 19.8, that's the worst in the league. So teams are literally getting 20 points automatically right now, just off of second chance points. Wizards they're also allowing 51.3 points in the paint, which is 22nd in the league. They're allowing 21.2 fast break points a game, which is 29th in the league. Bottom line is they're losing off of effort areas where it's like transition defense, rebounding, all that is attached to, defending, especially the rebounding aspect. And until they clear that up and just start, in a sense, just get over themselves, to go the extra mile to make sure you win, make winning plays, this will continue, man. And they have to stop it. Otherwise, we all know how the business of the pro sports, especially in the league, is, man, heads will roll. So, I like this. I like what I'm seeing right now against Memphis. This is, a good night to get started, which is right now. Get back on the winning track and, get things going. But honestly, I know a lot of people on Portland, rightfully so. He hasn't played well, but you got through other players in the mix too, man. It starts with John Wall. We said that before the season. He's the leader. He's a franchise player. It all starts with him. He has not played well at all to start the season. That's my guy. Everybody know that, but You just gotta keep it real. He's shooting 41% from the field, which is the worst since his rookie year. He's also shooting 12% from three-point range, which is second to worst season of shooting from three-point range of his career. And he's only averaging 3 rebounds. For his career, he averages 4.4. It's just it's not good, man. And the thing is, he knows it, and you can see when he presses and stuff like that, and it takes away from the other team. I mean, his other teammates that are hitting shots, the couple that are, and I'll get to them as I go along. And he got to be smarter than that. You can't force the issue when you don't have it. When you don't have it, you got to pick your spot and try to get easy baskets so you can get back in rhythm to have it. And if you don't have it, you're not knocking that shot, you forcing it. It's just going to be the floodgates going to open, and your team more than likely going to suffer. Obviously the team needs help rebounding, and that's been the Achilles heel for them, even going back to last season. A lot of people blame Gotek because his athleticism going down and whatnot, but he was actually a pretty solid rebounder even with that aspect. This year, I don't know what the heck is going on. You can blame it on Dwight or whatnot, but you can't be getting out rebounding 55 to 43 every night. That's not going to do it. And as for Otto Porter, he's shooting 41% from the field this season and 21% from deep. And this is the worst shooting since his rookie year. And for his career, Porter shoots 48% from the field, 40% from deep. That just tells you how off guys are right now. And they got to turn that around, to try to, get back on track, especially, with the improved East. I expected some teams to make the improvement, but, those juggernauts up top, Toronto and Kawhi, Danny Green, and then obviously Boston. And the Celtics, you see what Milwaukee's doing. It's Indiana right there. I can keep naming names. Miami going to be a tough out and all that, man. They ain't got time to keep losing, man, because they could look up and it'd be like last year. They fighting for an 8 seed. And with the deeper East, and they ain't going to make it out the first round. And that's not good. But, for some positives, I like when I'm seeing our Markieff Morris. He's actually having the most efficient season of his career. He's averaging 12.7 points, 5.5 rebounds, but it's on 50% shooting from the field and 44% shooting from deep. Honestly, I would like to see him get more shots. That's what I was talking about with Wall. If you ain't got it, get him the rock. He's on fire right now. I mean, I know he ain't playing tonight, but past games and moving forward, he got it going on as far as from the, scoring the rock. So help him give him the ball, so you get your flow offensively. He's also been more active defensively. This is the first time in his career where he actually averaged a block plus for his career. I know that ain't sounding much, but this dude, routinely don't even get even close to that. So he's putting forth the effort to try to win. Other people got to step up and not be worried about their offense or something. Just make a play to try to win the game. And then, you can worry about the rest of it. You can always get in the gym and get your rhythm. And actually, the best player that has been on the Wizards so far to start the season has been Kelly Oubre. When he's going off the bench, and in the little, you could just say he's putting pressure on Otto Porter to perform, especially, with Kelly being in a, contract year or whatnot. He's proven that a lot of teams are going to be after him after the season. He's averaging a career high points at 14.5, rebounds 5.8, field goal percentage at 45, 3-point field goal percentage 41, and free throw percentage at 94% in just 27 minutes off the bench. He's getting it done. And if the losing keeps coming on, Brooks may have to consider starting him or at the very least giving him more minutes. I know he's already finishing games, so that's just the next logical step for what he's bringing on both ends and the efficiency and what he's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, this is where they're at, and it's pretty good summary there.
Hey, man, you gotta clean that stuff up, man. Just win the plays, man. You gotta drop the prize, forget all that pretty stuff, all that, man. Just get the W. Just get the W. Sometimes you gotta win ugly, man. It's the league, man. And the way these scores are going, I actually prefer to see some ugly games because these scores are outrageous, man. But that's a whole other topic of discussion.
Hey, look, we're going to touch on that a little bit later. People almost touching the century mark in the half and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, but especially with Washington, man, the other thing is it's a slow start for sure. The good thing is the East is still the East, even with, there being some better teams. It's not too late. Other thing, they haven't shot the ball well from deep. It's not like they don't have capable shooters, but the biggest thing, like you said, especially with winning ugly, defense is something you can always control. You can't control all the time if your shot's going in, whether it's falling, whether it's not. And that's the part that's frustrating. The areas that they can't control, They're not controlling them. And that would be the difference here and there. We've seen it, like you said, we've seen a couple ugly games between teams already. It was refreshing to see, as you mentioned, but that's how those teams stayed in games until eventually the shots are going to fall again. But the biggest thing is if you're not scoring and they're not scoring, I mean, you're good. But what happened to LA is just, that should never happen again. That's crazy. When you think about what LA has offensively, talk about the Clippers, that's ridiculous. Like, if someone told me that was going to happen, I'd be like, hey, did Lou Williams have 60? And he didn't. So think about everybody else is there. And it's not to knock anybody on the Clippers by any means, but that's just unacceptable.
You're right, man. And even Golden State's unacceptable, man. I know Steph, Steph did what Steph been doing to everybody. When he goes off, it's hard for that. It's hard to turn that off. It's hard to deal with them when they going off, as we saw last night with Clay, and then game before that with KD. They playing with the league right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they playing NBA 2K on rookie. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, they just destroying everybody. But at the same time, you could have, even with him going off for a period, they were close.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of just gave up. And then that's when you saw KD like, yo, take me out. This young week. They gave up. You should never have another one of your peers saying that about you as and be taken out, that this is weak. And that's when I kind of just like, man, look at y'all. It got to be about pride at this point. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, all you hear about when you discuss basketball with people, especially NBA basketball, they discuss guys and their skill set and the talent offensively. And I'm like, they just praise that end. And I'm like, man, look, the top teams play defense too. Yeah. And you got to be able to defend, man. And rebounding is a part of defense. Because if you got to keep staying on defense possession after possession because they're getting offensive rebounds, you're going to tire and they're going to find a way to score. It's just common sense. It's human. You can't keep up that intensity but for so long. So you have to rebound. And that's everybody, especially when he goes small. Wall and Bill. That's why Brooks said it early. They going to have to I'm looking for them to average like 6, 7, 8 rebounds a game between the two of them. Like they got to get in there and get in the mix. And too often times they busy leaking out trying to score even. And they leaving guys in there to battle with fire. And, it is what it is, man. It's just, they got to correct stuff, fundamentally sound stuff that they can't correct.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the losing is going to continue, and some of the people we see now won't be here. It's just how it goes.
We hear all the time, no matter what the sport is, it is a business. So right now, they can control what they have an ability to keep everything intact. If they can get, they can do the little things. All right, so before we move out of this, transition to the Capital City Go-Go. They have their season opener this Saturday. They're going to be hosting the Greensboro Swarm. Baltimore native Roscoe Smith is on that roster. Lightning quick guard Cat Barber, removed from NC State a few years ago. The Swarm also made headlines before the season when they hired former WNBA player Chastity Melvin as an assistant coach. So just heading into this weekend, I mean, it's the G League. I'm just looking forward to, just seeing the G League up close, honestly.
I mean, definitely. And the thing is, with the losing, with the Wizards, I mean, we might see some of these guys get caught up. The way it's going, I mean, it's just the truth, man. So I'm just excited to see kind of, the next level of guys that's right there, that's knocking on the door of getting in the league. And I actually read a great article, I forgot about who it was, where they kind of talked to a lot of former G League players who are at the NBA level. I don't think people quite understand, like 50% of the league have G League experience.
Right.
So that league is very valuable, and it's also to the point, the vision has been realized with David Stern when he created the D League back in the day, where basically every team is going to have a minor league team to develop players.
Yep.
So it's about to come in where each team will have that, and this is the Wizards team. So a lot of the G League players are saying it's really, if you take out all the top guys, the LeBrons, the KDs, the stuff, those top tier guys, they basically saying with the role players and borderline, it's really no difference.
Yeah.
It's just about opportunity and the numbers game as far as talent and what you guys can do. So I really don't think people should just sleep on this league. They should come out and watch, because you will. It's only a matter of time before you see some of these players at the NBA level, and we already seen it. Logan, what Quinn did with the Warriors last year, filling in when Steph got hurt, making big-time plays to help keep that winning going, and you saw what happened. Jonathan Simmons, same thing, what he did with the Spurs, with the Magic or whatnot. I mean, it's G League guys all over the league putting in work. So you got to, you know, they just called one up. They just signed one, Chase Randall, before they even called the game, who's there doing preseason for the Wizards. So you definitely got to pay attention because you will be seeing these guys, and they will be making an impact for various teams.
Yep, this is very, very true. And if you look around the league, some of the top-heavy teams, they got quite a few G League guys on their roster for a reason. You know, they get that experience, they get that necessary seasoning, and they're ready to go there. And the other thing, a little bit more hungry, they're ready to seize that opportunity. So as we move on, Cardell, we're going to catch up with you a little bit later in this show. Appreciate you calling in. We're going to talk to you a little bit later. But before we take a break on this week's 9-4-50 breakdown with Jamal Hayward, again, it's the breakdown of no dribble, pullback, / snatchback, all right? So it's a breakdown of a no dribble pullback or a snatchback with Jamal Hayward of 9-4-50. You're watching the Focus TV, and we'll see you on the other side of the break. And Octavia's going to have the floor to talk about this NFC East because so much has happened on that side of things. All right, Cardell.
Be nice, Octavia.
I promise.
Be nice.
I'll be nice.
Right for him. So now, defense, I go in, defense shifts, bounce ball, come back. Give it flip. Go. Stop. Come back. Okay. On this side. Stop.
Right for him.
So now, defense, I go in, defense shifts, bounce ball, come back. Give it flip. Go. Stop. Come back. Okay. On this side. Stop.
Again, thank you to Jamal Hayward at 9-4-50. Thank you so much for the breakdown series. We know our guy Travis appreciates it each and every week, you know, trying to implement some of these games and then pick up games out in Minnesota. So, Octavia, what's going on with your division, man?
It's a lot going on.
Trending on Twitter today, man.
It's a lot going
What's
on.
up?
It's a lot going on in the NFC East this week. Before we get into everything they were trending about, we'll just quickly touch on the games that happened this weekend. Everybody knows the Cowboys had a bye this week, so they did not play, so they did not win or they did not lose. So they're happy. The Eagles had a 9:30 a.m. game, our time, but they were in London and played against the Jaguars this week. The Eagles are now 4-4, still won it on the divisions. They did beat the Jaguars 24-18. Carson Wentz was 21 of 30, 286 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. 6 carries, 28 yards, 1 reception for 4 yards. We'll get to that. New running back that they got in the mix as of now, rookie Josh Adams had 9 carries, 61 yards. Wendell Smallwood also had 8 carries, 24 yards, 2 receptions for 42 yards and 1 touchdown. Dallas Goedert had 1 reception for 32 yards and 1 touchdown. And Zach Ertz had 4 receptions, 26 yards and 1 touchdown. With the wide receivers, everything was spread out a lot. So a lot of the wide receivers did still have good yardage, but there was so many of them that got the ball this week. And to me, that really relies on the fact that I still think that the running back situation needs to be addressed. But was it a perfect game? Far from it. But it was definitely a step in the right direction. Once again, they're battling with injuries, especially on the offensive line. Right tackle Lane Johnson is reported to be out for at least a month with an MCL sprain. And then you had, on the other side of the line, Jason Peters, who was in and out of the game with a head injury. So, you know, that in itself is another reason why I think one of the reasons that the NFC East was trending today helps us. So for people who do not know, Golden Tate has been acquired by the Eagles, who will be playing for us now. And I mean, although I do like the pickup, I really do like the pickup, I still wish that we would have focused on some type of running back. But it seems like at this point they're just going to go by a running back by committee. with Ajayi being out, Sproles still being out. So at this point, there's Corey Clement, there's Josh Adams, and Wendell Smallwood. And Corey Clement is still nursing an injury, which is why he didn't have many carries in this game as well, which is why you saw a lot more of Josh Adams. To me, biggest question so far with the Eagles have been, what happens in the second half. A lot of times, either they start well in the first half, and then they fall off in the second half, or they just play completely bad the entire game, and there's like sparks of it everywhere, every now and then, excuse me. But this game, they actually held it together in the second half. They actually turned it up more in the second half, starting the game with 2 turnovers. Carson Wentz threw an interception, and he fumbled the ball. So to see him come out of halftime, with 3 touchdowns, and even, it started a little bit before halftime. The defense finally got that turnover for the against the Jaguars with the rookie Maddox actually hitting the player really hard, and he ended up fumbling, and we recovered and was able to get into the end zone before halftime with the Dallas Goedert 32-yard touchdown. So it started there, and then it trickled over into the the next game, into the next half. It was just a step in the right direction. I just feel like that they are, there was reports that they said that, last year around this time is when you saw them kind of take off, and this was around the same time last year. They picked up Jay Ajayi, with the trade deadline. They were on a cross-country trip at that time. That's when they went to L.A. and played the Rams. Now they're on another trip. They went to London and played the Jags. So hopefully this will, transpire into, a run for them, because being 4-4 in the NFC East at this point is not going to cut it. Barely getting out of the NFC East is not going to cut it either. Even if you do barely get out of the NFC East, it's still so many other great teams that are out there in the NFC that it's going to be hard to get back to where they were last year. But next week they're on a bye as well. So, even with a little bit of injuries that they do have, hopefully they're able to nurse those, excluding Lane Johnson, who is, like I said, reported to be out for at least a month. But anybody who has any nicks, things like that, they'll have this week off, and then they'll come back strong the week after. And then we had another NFC East divisional game. We had the Giants versus the Redskins, and the Redskins were victorious 20-13. The Giants' record is now 1-7, 0-3 in the division. And the Redskins, who are on top of the division, are 5-2 and 2-0 in the division. So starting with the Giants, Eli Manning was 30 of 47, 316 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Saquon Barkley had 13 carries, 38 yards, 9 receptions, and 73 yards. Odell Beckham, 8 receptions, 136 yards, and Evan Ingram, 5 receptions, 25 yards, and 1 touchdown. And I have to add that was in garbage time. At that point, the game was basically over. And then the Redskins, I know, you gotta throw it in there. You gotta, put it in the context. And then on the other side, you have with the Redskins, Alex Smith, 20 of 32, 178 yards, 1 touchdown. Adrian Peterson, 26 carries, 149 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 reception, 7 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Doxson had 5 receptions for 49 yards. I just feel for the Giants at this point. Everybody knows at this point, they're out of playoff contention, probably not mathematically yet. With all those, with all of those equations that are out there that I have no idea about. But at this point, 1-7, and 0-3 in the division, it's not looking good for them. I've heard, and this is not, I'm not 100% sure of this because I heard this from a Giants fan, that they're already talking about when they're going to sit Eli down for the rest of the year. Is it going to be they're going to let him finish it out, at an NFC East game playing in Dallas, or what, and if they're going to put the rookie in, or the backup in, excuse me. But in this, to me, this game, the Redskins' defense was, outstanding. They sacked Eli 7 times and forced 2 fumbles. 2 interceptions, excuse me. DJ Swearinger with 2 interceptions by himself. Eli getting sacked 7 times. It makes, of course, like I said, the Redskins defense was amazing, but at the same time, you think about how bad the offensive line is for the Giants. That wasn't a good mix for them. For the Redskins to be as good as they were on defense this week, and for the Giants to be as bad as they've been all year on the offensive line, it wasn't a good mix for them this week. the Giants didn't even touch Alex Smith. They probably did. I'm exaggerating, but there was no sacks on Alex Smith this week as well. So shouts out again to the Redskins offensive line then, who are protecting their quarterback. Keeping him upright, making sure that he's able to stay in the game. And then, to me, it all comes down this week to Adrian Peterson outside of the defense. Adrian Peterson is still showing you guys that he has the ability to play a pivotal role as a running back in the league at this point. Every time you watch the game, all I hear is, the 34-year-old Adrian Peterson. They always play on his age, but you can't tell when he's out there playing. He cut off a 62-yard run out of nowhere and didn't even, they barely got to him once he was in the end zone. But he's been looking good. Like, I wouldn't mind, if the Redskins let him go and he traveled on up to Philly. That would be nice, but that's not happening at this point.
So is that like a backwards compliment?
Yeah, a little bit.
Work?
A little bit.
You got AP envy?
A little bit. But the Giants were going to bye this week, which they, I'm sure, are ready for.
Can you lose on your bye?
You never know. Worst things have happened. And then the Redskins, who have already had their bye, will play the Falcons this week, so that's another good test for them to see how they hold up, especially playing against NFC opponents. And then just to get to the acquisitions, of course, the Redskins did pick up Clinton Dix, which to me is a great pickup for an already great, defense, and just an added layer to that. And then, of course, everybody knows about Amari Cooper got picked up by the Cowboys, and then, like I said, we picked up Golden Tate. From my understanding, the deadline is still not till midnight, so who knows what else will happen? Who knows what these execs are working on at this moment? Can't tell you, but it's going to be another interesting week coming up. It's week 9. We're officially halfway through, the season, and just, seeing what's happening. I think another big thing for the Giants as well that I wanted to touch on was that Saquon Barkley didn't get as many touches as he usually does. I don't know why, At the end of the day, he is your bread and butter outside of Odell, and it's harder, to get Odell the ball with, Eli in the situation that he's currently in. I just think that they should have probably tried to get it to him a little bit more. I mean, 13 carries, 9 receptions. I didn't look at how many times he was targeted as far as receptions, but they got to get him back into the beginning of the season, to at least play for pride. At this point, you don't want to go out 1-7. You don't want to end up like the whole town of Cleveland and they getting rid of everybody. The whole town of Cleveland, they hold everybody is gone. And the Giants have tried that. They've switched things up. I saw a quote where there's only 17 players on the team that was on the team last year. So they've tried switching things up. They've gotten new coaches. It's rough. So, I don't know if they can actually do like we say in basketball, just blow the whole thing up and start all the way over. But at that point, it's looking like that's going to be their best option. I've already told my coworker that's a Giants fan, start paying attention on Saturdays. So who you guys going to pick up next year? Because I feel for them. It's tough when your season's going like that, especially if you're a really diehard fan. And them Giant New York fans are usually, they're ruthless. So it's not looking too good. But yeah, we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah. Just real quick with the Redskins, I definitely like the move for kind of shore up that defense. That defensive line, I wish I could say I was surprised, but back when we talk about who the Redskins should draft, yeah, a lot of y'all were talking about that Vita Vea stuff, and not to knock the young man. The right decision was made. Deron Payne's been a grown man. Mm-hmm. They grow grown men at Bama. It's not a surprise. He's there. Jonathan Allen's acting a fool. Redskins might as well, hey, look, you found a recipe that worked. Don't mess with this. You want to be the Washington Crimson Tide? Keep it moving. Just don't mess with it at all. As for the offensive side of things, and a lot of people, Alex Smith obviously needs to play a little bit better. I would just my one little caveat to this, I would challenge Jay Gruden to do a better job coming out of halftime. Offensive play calling coming out of halftime is garbage. It's scary. And I think that hurts a little bit more. The other thing is, we saw how Alex was used a little bit last year. You had proof on tape. Kind of get him moving with the boots and things of that nature. You were doing it with Kirk. Yeah, Alex would do some of those same things. And the other thing is, I think just time. Let things happen. Let it just gradually happen. The good part about this is your defense is keeping you in a place that's allowing your offense to get to where it needs to go. Secondly, I know this might be new to some fans in this area, especially locally. Winning football isn't always pretty. If this works like this, I don't see what the issue is.
At all.
Alex has won in a situation similar to this before, where it was heavy reliance on the defense and a strong run game. Here and there, you move the chains and everything's cool. What I do like is, people been waiting for Josh Doctson to show up. Little by little, he's getting involved. Just let Alex, get a rapport with some of these guys and things will start happening. But, I just challenge that coaching staff a little bit, at least on the offense side of the ball. You got to do better coming out of halftime. That's all I really got. And with y'all getting Golden Tate, I'm not surprised. Other move I really liked was DeAndre Hopkins has Demarius Thomas opposite him in Houston, man.
Come on.
If you can Sean Watson, you kind of like, hey, you guys do love me. You love me a lot.
And then you can't even forget about the Rams pickup.
The Dante Fowler thing, I think they paid too much, but at the same time, if you're trying to win now.
I do believe that.
If you're trying to win now, I'm not going to knock it because if you're the Rams, you're like, man, we trying to win a bowl. That third pick is going to be anything anyways. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to knock them on that. But, it was a pretty good day from most teams moving stuff around.
I think the only other acquisition I heard about was Ty Montgomery going to the Ravens.
I mean, he just got thrown away because of what he did the other day. You lost the game, sir. You neglected to listen.
Aaron probably went right into the GM office like, yeah, he got to go.
You want to know what? I think that mistake was so bad, I don't even think anything needed to be said. Just like, we don't need you here because somebody might put hands on you. I don't think we're going to get to next week. Like, it was that bad of a mistake.
Yeah, it was. Like, the fact that he didn't even have the opportunity to try to do what Aaron Rodgers does. The fact that Aaron Rodgers does these things, like he does fourth quarter comeback.
And you've been on this team long enough to know this is what this guy does. How dare you take the ball out of his hands with that selfishness? You got to go. And with the Ravens, I ain't mad. If somebody just gave me something for 7th round pick, why not, right?
I mean, yeah, and it's not that he's not a decent running back,
It's what he did.
Yeah, it's just that. And so it works to me. It works for both teams. They need a running back. I'm sure Ty Montgomery needs to sever all ties with them after that situation. Man. And I'm sure the Packers are feeling the same way. So it just kind of worked out for everybody. And it's actually a blessing that it was able to happen, at that time. Because imagine if it happened next week and it's like, well, either you traded or you cut.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At least you got something for it, right?
Next week, he would have just been
cut.
Yeah, they was going to get him up.
Yeah, just like Brandon Marshall got cut.
Yeah. After trading Golden Tate. And
how far they fall.
Man, life comes at you fast.
Real fast.
As we said, it's a business. We say that
it is
this year. All right, so before we finish up with Rapid Fire, Cardell's going to be calling back in shortly. Just some NBA notes I wanted to share, some early standouts start the season. We started the show kind of talking about the opposite end of the NBA, talking about the Wizards. But the Bucks, 7-0. They won a game last night where they played the Kawhi-less Raptors, and the Bucks were Giannis-less. So, kind of
even out.
Yeah, kind of even out. The Raptors, meanwhile, they're 6-1. The only loss coming to aforementioned Bucks, just mentioned. Detroit Pistons, 4-1. All right. Sacramento Kings, they are above 500 for the first time in 2 calendar years.
Hey, props to them.
Man.
That's a feat in itself, young, to kind of really get to that point that you've been working, like, you've been trying so hard. And at least that's like a little glimmer of hope. It's like, we can do it, y'all.
And then that's the
props
biggest thing. And they're 4-3, and they're currently on a 3-game win streak. So the good thing is it's not the end of the world. And then, we're talking about with the West with some other teams struggling. If Sacramento's kind of raising the floor of the West, right?
I got you. Mm-hmm.
It's going to only make things difficult because those teams that you can just pencil in for an easy dub, you have to compete against Sacramento and all that athleticism and energy, and they're getting confidence, and they got a whole bunch of first-round talents on that roster. We'll get to that another day. Houston and Oklahoma City, the Wizards aren't the only ones struggling.
Struggle City.
They're both 1-4 right now. The Rolling Ball of Knives, known as the Warriors, they're 7-1. Denver 5-1. They're the lone team to take down the Warriors. And some players that have stood out, obviously Steph Curry, the 51 against Washington. KD with 41 against the Knicks, 25 in the fourth. We got what Clay did last night, 52 points, and he didn't need 52 minutes.
Oh, my gosh.
Hit 10 threes in a half, broke his Splash Brothers record, so he now holds the most threes for a game in the NBA history with 14 now. Clay got that record, so that's great. Blake Griffin, How about that? 28 points, 10 rebounds, 4.6 assists. A lot of people ruled him off as dead. He's a big part that the Pistons are off to that 4-1 start, as I mentioned. Kawhi Leonard, the Android move to the East, 26.6 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists a game, and 1.6 steals. No one shot there. We talked about Giannis. So Giannis is on one. 25 points, 14.2 rebounds, 14.2 rebounds, 5.7 assists, and 1.7 blocks a game. Yeah, he's enjoying life in Coach Bud's system, and it's fun watching because there's more spacing now. If you try to double up on Giannis, somebody's open, and his teammates are knocking down shots. It's always a beautiful thing. DeMar DeRozan, it brought up Kawhi, can't leave out DeMar. 28.3 for DeMar, 6 rebounds. The most impressive thing about all of this, 8 assists a game. Kemba Walker, 31.7 points per game to start the year, 4 rebounds, 5.7 assists per game. Just a couple of guys just want to share with you guys. We're in an era of narratives and a lot of stuff gets talked about. Some of these performances have been overlooked, so it's our job to kind of enlighten you just a little bit. So we got Cardell back. Welcome back, Cardell. What's rapid fire looking like, man?
Oh, here we go.
Man, just a couple things as usual. Not big.
Okay.
But start off with something that hurts close to home. My Denver Broncos.
I was waiting for this.
Man, traded Demaryius Thomas to the Texans for a 4th or 7th round pick. What are your thoughts on that?
Octavia, you can go first.
To see Demaryius Thomas opposite of DeAndre Hopkins is going to be crazy. If he can have that type of play, get back into the swing of things like he has been in the past, that's going to be crazy. I don't know how I feel about it for the Broncos. I don't know if maybe they feel like Emmanuel Sanders is going to take more of a bigger role because he has, in the past couple of years, he's come up a lot. A lot of people didn't even know who Emmanuel Sanders was. I don't know. It kind of I don't understand why they did it. Maybe it's something, internal that I just don't know about, but it's going to be crazy to see Deshaun Watson throwing the ball to DeAndre Hopkins and then Demaryius Thomas now, and that's a big pickup for them.
From reading just a bunch of reports, what it looks like is between the two of them, Emmanuel Sanders is who they valued more. They made DT available to be traded. A lot of teams inquired about Emmanuel. They weren't gonna lose Emmanuel. I guess they want them there as they continue to try to build this roster back up with DT. You got a 4th and a 7th. Hopefully you go in the draft and get something done. The other thing is it shows some a vote of confidence in the young boy, Cortland Sutton. And then for Houston, why not? Why not? Similar to the Rams, you're trying to win now. Somebody like that, regardless of his age, he's kind of been on ice, just chilling, do the things going on in Denver, or how he's been utilized. So, it's just a good situation. Honestly, to me, kind of for both parties, even though it sucks to see DT go, I feel like Denver, it makes sense to get something for one of those guys. If Emmanuel, if you've chosen Emmanuel as the guy you want to kind of grow old with Cortland Sutton.
I just feel like, I agree with some parts as far as what you said was as far as the financial aspect of it. He's in the last year of his deal, and he's owed $17 million.
Yeah.
So they was going to have to re-up with him, and he was going to hit him hard. He's not that old. I think he came in the league in 2010, so he's not that old. I know some people were saying with his production, has been down. Where I'm like, look at the quarterbacks he's had to play with.
Exactly.
He can't throw to himself. You know what I mean? So, the last real quarterback he played with was Peyton Manning. Not the final year, the year prior when we didn't win the Super Bowl, we lost. We got punished or whatever like that. So, I'm happy for him. He kind of got a fresh start, go to win a team and really be him. Especially, with the Texans and whatnot. But as far as the Broncos, man, the hot seat, no disrespect. I know he's the legend, greatest player in franchise history. He got to be on the hot seat in his own way.
Yeah.
How do you fall that quickly from contendership at the top of your division to now you basically, what you say early Octavia, look at college football Saturdays, and that's where we at. And it's just, and it's sad. Because he made bad deals, and it starts with him not being able to evaluate quarterbacks properly, which is weird because he's an all-time great quarterback. And that goes to show you see a lot of players like, man, we need those positions, man. We know more. No, you don't. like you guessing. I mean, don't get me wrong. You may have more information to evaluate properly, but at the end of the day, it's certain traits you just will never be able to evaluate, like a man's heart and the spirit. You know what I'm saying? How he deal with adversity and everything like that. I don't care how talented you are. You know, it's different when they hunting you down, you getting hit and everything. Like it's a different ballgame when the lights is on, and that's for every level. So he got to kind of be on the hot seat because I mean, even with the trash, you know, I have to say it, trash quarterbacks that the Broncos have had, Thomas still had, you know, second on the team with 36 receptions, 402 receiving yards, and you know, and tied for a team lead with 3 receiving touchdowns. So he still could be a productive receiver. So, you know, I'm happy he getting a chance because he's been a model citizen. He done his job, champ, you know all that. But it's just the same thing. Put a team around to utilize his talents properly. You know what I'm saying? It's just it is what it is. Next question. You know, after their loss last night to the Minnesota Timberwolves, LeBron James is saying, you know, you don't want to be around me when my patience runs out, citing the losing ways and all the things that go into that. You know, what was your take on that when he said that?
I mean, is he about to start firing people out here? That's what it sounds like.
Oh boy!
it sound like he the GM in LA as well as he was, you know, when he was in Cleveland. But I'm not surprised. You know, this is the same LeBron that we see, you know, every year when stuff doesn't start off well. You know, he gets frustrated. You know, rightly so, understandably, because of course he came there to win, and of course he, you know, doesn't want to have to, you know, deal with these things, but I just still feel like sometimes things like that, I mean, I guess depending on everything he said in context, because I honestly don't know everything that he said in context, I just feel like that some of those things need to be kept in-house. You know, those are things that, you know, you talk about with your teammates, your coaches, and stuff like that, especially with the media circus that's always around LeBron. You know, you got to kind of pick and choose your words, but I don't know exactly what he said, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But, I mean, I'm not surprised. You know, it's not going too well right now. You know, the hype was so big. You know, greatest Laker ever and all these other things, and it ain't looking too good right now. So, of course, he's upset, and I wouldn't want to be around him while he upset, too. He might try to fire me, and I don't even work there, so.
Well, then.
Whoa.
Now that the earth in front of me is scorched,
I'm just saying.
let me step over this. I'll take it kind of tongue-in-cheek. It was just funnier to laugh at for me. I know a lot of people want to make big deal about it. My biggest thing is, you know, regardless of the quote, is, yeah, it's tough. Welcome to the West. You know, this is what you signed up for. The other part of it is similar to how we're talking about Washington with the talking and people not doing, and people needing to be held accountable. Same thing applies. Like, I'm not really here to hear you talk about, you know, any of your younger teammates or what y'all need to do and all this other stuff. You're supposed to be that guy. Lead them. It's part of leadership. You have to do it so they can do it. Show them how it's done. And right now, nobody's holding him accountable for not really playing defense. Last night against Minnesota, Jimmy Butler goes off. I saw everybody but him on Jimmy Butler. You know, how many times we've heard that at some point, like, you can't, if you know you went to a young team, come on, man, you gotta take responsibility for all that. But, yeah, the comment, it was just funny to me. It was kind of tongue-in-cheek. But as far as Octavia said with the firing thing, if it happens, that'd be funny.
I mean, you know, he's just talking, and at the end of the day, I mean, there's some seriousness to it because, I mean, they 2-5, but what's not so funny is the reason. It's their defense.
Yeah.
Like we said, the Wizards give up the most points in the league right now. They're 29th out of 30 teams. They're right above the Wizards. They give up 122 points a game. You're not winning like that, man.
Nope.
And like you said, it starts with him. He got to set the tone defensively. The thing I like about the Lakers youngins, they're actually competing.
Yeah.
They not the type to just wait on him. Even though they know he's the leader, they looking to him, but they still not afraid to do their own thing. And that's key. That's why, you know, I had faith that, you know, it would be all right. And it's still early, not saying they ain't going to make the playoffs or whatever like that, but all that, you know, top 3 stuff, nah, man, because what they don't realize is they figured out, other teams are figuring themselves out too. So it's going to even out. It's going to be tough. When it starts with him, man. He got to get the defensive stop. Like you said, Jimmy Butler hit that go ahead, that dagger 3, but that was on Rondo. Rondo can't bother that shot. He's that high. He's the high man. You got to get on him. Make him shoot over you. You bigger than him. But how come he refused to do that? Even then, the turnover with Cat on him, going between his legs. Why are you playing games with this dude? Go past him. And then the turnover, like little things, man. So until they clean up that defense, man, even though they're averaging 122 points, until they clean up the defense, it's going to be up and down. And just like we saying about the Wizards, so you are what your record is. And it's a shame that, like I said, a lot of people ignore defense, but you look up, you see defense is the main thing why people are losing. And then they have to clean that up, and it starts with them. And the thing I like about Laker fans, they not going to just blindly be like, no, it's not his fault. They like, yo, what's up, son?
Meet you outside the Staples.
We used to getting it done out here, though. This ain't Cleveland no more. So what's up? Like, you got to get this W. You got to get these stops, man. Don't play games over here, man. So that's just how it is, man. But I know, press for time. One more question.
Real quick, I just want to add one last thing to the Lakers thing. The other part of this is realizing this is the West and not the East. These little games being the year when you dropping games, unlike the Wizards, this thing can really, really cost you early on. We saw last year, between seeds, 4 through 8 or 3 through 8?
Yeah, they were all like
West,
a game or two.
decided by 3 games or something like that. So it catches up to you. West, the other part, why it's so important, like you said, they play defense. Everyone got firepower out there. It's not the East. Everyone got firepower. Like 20-point leaders or anything out West. Nobody cares. So go ahead, Cardell. Last question tonight, man.
Last question. Got to touch on the Maryland ruling. Maryland football university system. Maryland Board of Regents ruled that Maryland retained football coach DJ Durkin and athletics director Dana Evans following an investigation and allegation of abuse within Durkin's program. Maryland President Wallace Lowe, announced that he basically is expected to announce Tuesday that he will retire in June, basically being forced out or whatnot. What is your take on this whole ugly situation, especially in the aftermath of, player passing away because of these allegations of abuse?
I mean, I guess my first question would be, like, what was in the report? Like, what did they find, because what is their reasoning for keeping him? If they have solid evidence of, whatever they've said is going on as far as the abuse within the program, what is the grounds to keep them? Like, I want to know, like, what are you keep them if you found these allegations to be true? Did you find the allegations to be false? And then why is it that the president is retiring, but the people who are directly in charge of the students there, or the players, student athletes, are not being reprimanded? I think the most that I heard was they're supposed to go through a retraining. You have to think about it in the sense that a kid actually lost his life. Like, it wasn't, something small and something minimal that happened. Like, a child actually lost his life while trying to play a game. And if it had anything to do with the culture that's there, they need to be, there's no excuse for that. There needs to be repercussions for that. Outside of a retraining, I'm interested to see how the families react, in the situation, the other players, if there's other people that feel the same way about the situation. I just still think that there's more to this story that's not coming out. And, I feel like it needs to get talked about more, because like you heard about it when it came out, and then like slowly but surely it went away. Nobody was really talking about it until now it's coming back up again in regards to now I guess they finally completed their investigation. But it's really sad to see that happened to, a child who was just out there trying to play a game that they love and something that they were, able to benefit, going to school to do and everything like that. So it's really sad that situation happened.
Cardell, you can go ahead and close up.
I think it's a cover-up for a lot of other things. And I think what they do with a lot of college football programs do, unfortunately, they put football above moral and ethics. Simple as that. And the reason why Lowe, they kind of, in a sense, punked Lowe to keep the coach on because he wanted to get rid of him right when all this drama happened in the first place. And the region's like, well, if you do that, we're going to fire you. And he got scared, and he didn't do the right thing. So now they basically, and here's the thing, they basically still forcing him out and still keeping the coach on. Mm-hmm. So, but the thing is, when you usually do this, it comes back. How in the hell is Durkin and that staff going to go in anybody's living room trying to recruit a player and look the parents in their eyes and say, we're going to take care of your son after what just happened?
That's a good point.
So you're losing anyway. So what are you really protecting? Why would I send my kid to play for that coach? Come on, man. So it's a mess, man. You know what I'm saying? So, and like you said, it's a lot of layers, a lot of details I'm pretty sure they ain't put out yet. And it may be a while before we get to it, but to me, this ain't the way to go. A kid died under your watch. You got to take that L, champ. You know what I'm saying? So, especially with the details that did come out, saying that they were aware, but you know how it is. We gonna push you to the max, man. He was overheating, and they ain't take no precautionary measures when he was overheating and all that. Man, you gotta take that L. That was neglect, period, point blank. And so it is what it is.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And like you said, things like that, they catch up to you, and that program's gonna suffer. It might not be informed how they, by law, but they're gonna suffer, like you said. It's gonna be hard for them to go talk to anybody. Want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. As always, Cardell, appreciate you calling in. Get over to finestmag.com and mymotosports.com this week. Got a lot going on. DC United, 2 Wizards games, and the Go-Go's opener. So it'll be a good time to go hit that follow button. We'll catch you guys next week.